Look, I already ranked the fire and the water starter Pokemon. Did you really expect anything else this week? Come on. I'd hop right into it, but you're probably waiting on the grass starter choosing stereotype. I don't know. They're usually correct, I guess. Totally not biased. I'm just assuming you saw the criteria in the other videos, so let's not waste any time. Leave a like, subscribe, check out the Patreon. Begin. Oh boy, here comes another Gen 1 Nepo baby. Nice Gigantamax form. Did your dad buy it for you? Venusaur is a Pokemon with a long history of being among the best Pokemon in the game, and it has very little to do with its nepotism forms actually, though they do help quite a bit. But Venusaur was able to make its Gen 1 stats feel like Gen 6 stats at the earliest. 80 HP, 82 attack, 83 defense, 100 special attack, 100 special defense, and 80 speed is a stat spread so atrociously confused that you could reasonably assume it was given to some random second stage from any route in Unova. But no, this is one of the Kanto starter Pokemon. It stood out over the years due to its partial poison typing and its ability Chlorophyll. Being a grass poison type in Gen 1 is kinda like saying you're a Mexican who likes mole. Yeah man, it came free with your being Mexican. There's 6 grass-type lines in the region, and half of them are poison. You just happen to be the fastest. Chlorophyll, on the other hand, was the ability that made Venusaur stand out even among its contemporaries in the game for so many generations, especially since combining it with Sleep Powder is a recipe for broken DSs and Nintendo Switches. The poison typing it comes with boosting the power of Sludge Bomb is what made it especially threatening though. Sludge Bomb dealing significant damage to fairies kept Venusaur especially relevant in Gen 7's VGC formats, as its ability to chunk every single Tapu for huge damage and make Geomancy Xerneas think twice before clicking anything other than Protect was enough to make Venusaur a star. Its synergy with Groudon in restricted formats and Mega Charizard Y in non-restricted formats has made Venusaur one of the faces of the Sun archetype. Venusaur of course got a Mega Form in Pokemon X and Y, though its Mega Form was mostly passed up on by players in favor of base Venusaur, as Venusaur's Mega Form changes playstyles pretty drastically. Rather than being a fast Chlorophyll sleep spammer, Mega Venusaur was a bulky stall Pokemon whose ability Thick Fat made it take neutral damage from even the fire and ice type moves which would normally threaten it. This left Mega Venusaur with only 2 weaknesses in flying and psychic type moves. This lack of weaknesses made it especially effective as a Leech Seed spammer in certain formats. Though this was never the preferred way to run Venusaur in VGC. It acted more as a support Pokemon next to Mega Charizard Y and Primal Groudon. This isn't to say that Mega Venusaur wasn't ran though, as you didn't actually need to choose between base Venusaur or Mega half the time. The real choice was between the Mega Stone or a Focus Sash or Life Orb, as Venusaur could be played normally before Mega Evolving each match. Due to this, Mega Venusaur has had multiple major wins including the 2015 German Nationals, the 2018 Chile Special Event, and the 2018 El Salvador Special Event, though arguably the most broken iteration of Venusaur was the Gen 8 version of it. Of course, Venusaur gained access to a Gigantamax form, I mean, why wouldn't it have? And much like the other 2 G-Max Kanto starters, its max move, G-Max Vine Lash, would deal huge initial damage followed by 1/6 of the target's max health for 4 turns if they weren't a grass type. Venusaur was especially powerful as it was able to do something similar to what it did in its Mega days, and be a terrifying sleep spammer in its base form, then turn on a dime and start taking KOs with G-Max Vine Lash. Having stab on poison moves made it a strong user of Max Ooze to boost its special attack stat and become even more threatening. And arguably the biggest buff it got from Dynamax was that Weather Ball's type depended on the weather it was in, so despite not being a fire type, it too had access to Max Flare to hit opposing grass Pokemon. It even had a very successful 2021 and 2022 seasons where Sun teams were dominant, and it went on to win the 2022 Milwaukee Regionals, 2022 Vancouver Regionals, and Players Cup 3. Even today, in a metagame infested with Pokemon that can easily outspeed a Chlorophyll-boosted Venusaur, it still manages to find pretty modest success on Koraidon and Groudon Sun teams. As long as Sun is an option, Venusaur is going to be a factor. Sheerly due to its long history and consistency, I can't in good faith put Venusaur any lower than S tier. This channel is partnered with Gamersupps. If you want to support my work and get great tasting drinks, you can order Gamersupps through my link in the description down below or with code Moxie boosted at checkout for 10% off. Gamersupps is a caffeinated product that I recommend only to my 18+ viewers, but my link will send you to their caffeine-free product section just in case. Every product purchased through my link supports my channel financially, so I'd really appreciate the support. Now back to the video. Be so for real with me for a minute. Do you really expect this ranking to go in any other direction than the one that you kind of knew it was going to go in already? It's Meganium. This video is about competitive viability. It's not gonna go well. Look, if it were about design, Meganium might be a B or an A tier. I love dinosaurs. It seems like we're taking a trip through Mediocre Park with this one. Meganium is a pure grass type with a remixed stat spread from Venusaur. And by remixed, I mean that they swapped its defense and special attack. Yeah, next time someone tries to tell you that Meganium is good because of its bulk, just know that Venusaur has identical special bulk. Look, these stats aren't the worst, but we need to acknowledge that there's basically no application for a Pokemon with these stats, typing, and abilities that another Pokemon wouldn't just do better. And the abilities are probably the most egregious part of this. Almost any Pokemon can be saved by a good ability, and most players know this. People have been asking for Meganium to get Triage since Generation 7 dropped, but it's stuck with a practically useless Overgrow and for some reason Leaf Guard. Look, Leaf Guard's cool and all, it can't be statused as long as Sun is active, so you can't poison stall bulky Meganium sets, but you don't need to stall it. Sun is active, it's a grass type, hit that thing with a fire move. Meganium has accomplished basically nothing in its very long VGC career, and I had to fill this section with a rant about its mediocrity since there's literally nothing to discuss from this point on. I mean, the closest thing Meganium has to being in the same conversation as other broken Pokemon is the fact that when you try to search for Megas, its name comes up. Hopefully it gets a Mega, I guess. F tier. Sceptile makes me kinda sad because it's one of the slickest designs a grass-type starter has ever had. It's strangely simple but effective in conveying what Sceptile is. It's a fast Pokemon, but it's probably not the hardest hitter. And the stats reflect that: 70 HP, 85 attack, 65 defense, 105 special attack, 85 special defense, and 120 speed. At the time, 120 speed was pretty absurd, but since Generation 3, things have kinda crept it out of relevance. What gets me kind of hung up about this though is the fact that it was the first Pokemon to get Leaf Blade, but its higher offensive stat is its 105 special attack. Meanwhile, it's only got 85 physical attack. Yeah, in Gen 3, Leaf Blade was a special attack due to the split not happening until Gen 4, but I'm still pretty bummed out that it's one of the worst users of its signature move. That's just not true for any other Pokemon. Except maybe Colossal, like who's using Tar Shot. Anyways, like I said, the speed is great and all, but its stats overall are pretty mediocre, and it's only truly able to make full use of its speed with its ability Unburden. And the coolest thing about it today is that it's the worst Shedtail user. I mean, every Shedtail user has 70 HP to work with, but Orthworm is bulkier and Cyclizar is faster, and they both have some form of recovery. It just kind of feels like a useless buff to Sceptile. Now, its base form might not be anything special, but its Mega form certainly helped it out quite a bit. Mega Sceptile gains some massive stat buffs with it hitting 145 speed and special attack, getting a respectable 110 physical attack stat and a marginal defense boost. Along with this, it gains the Dragon typing and a tail that can be shot like a missile. Not that it actually really matters though, but you know, I guess that's where getting Shedtail comes from. Mega Sceptile only really saw niche usage in the 2016 and 2019 restricted VGC formats due to its high speed, access to Lightning Rod, and stab on Chesnaught. Lightning Rod allowed for Mega Sceptile to defend Primal Kyogre from electric moves and other partner Pokemon from Thunder Wave Thundurus. This would grant it a special attack boost and give it access to a super powerful Chesnaught. Since Chesnaught's power scales with the weight of the target and this format was dominated by Primal Groudon and Kyogre, Sceptile could chunk both of them for massive damage if not pick up a one-hit KO. But again, this was a very niche role in the grand scheme of things, and Mega Sceptile was by no means a top-tier Pokemon. Due to its spotty history and real lack of viability today, the highest I can reasonably place Sceptile is a low C tier. Torterra is just a fundamentally confusing Pokemon. I mean, it's a grass ground type, so we're already looking at a type that's gonna fare a lot better if it's on an offensive Pokemon. But then we take a look at the stats, and there it can't quite decide if it wants to be a wall or an offensive Pokemon. I mean, it's got 95 HP, 109 attack, 105 defense, 75 special attack, 85 special defense, and 56 speed. It's kinda headed in two directions at the same time here. When it got its hidden ability Shell Armor to prevent crits, it felt like maybe we were finally getting it an identity as a wall, but then Gen 9 came around and it got access to Shell Smash, so I guess it's supposed to be offensive now. What I'm trying to get at here is that Torterra isn't really great at whatever role they fill, and it's mostly because it's refusing to commit to one or the other. That being said, it's pretty clear that today it's meant to operate as a Shell Smash sweeper, with it gaining access to Headlong Rush. It's like one of 3 Pokemon with the move, but then again, maybe putting it in direct competition with Great Tusk and Ursaluna isn't the best idea when you're trying to incentivize someone picking it. Torterra has had very little success in VGC, and most of its usage comes in Gen 9 as a direct result of players experimenting with its new tools. And these Torterra teams didn't make the deepest of runs, but an improvement is an improvement, I guess. Time to retire, old man. D tier. Okay, it's been 3 entries since the last good grass type, but Serperior is where you kinda gotta pause the Minecraft and lock into the video again, okay? Serperior has some pretty mediocre stats overall, save for its base 113 speed, but it finds viability entirely due to its access to the hidden ability Contrary, which inverts all the stat changes that happen to Serperior. This is useful almost entirely due to it having access to Leaf Storm, a 130 base power special grass move which lowers the user's special attack stat by 2 stages every time it's used. Obviously with Contrary, this now doubles Serperior's special attack stat. Effectively, Serperior gets to launch a grass-type Draco Meteor and click Nasty Plot all in one move. Has this resulted in Serperior becoming a meta-defining threat that all teams need to prepare for? No, not even close, but it's not an actively bad Pokemon like some of the other Pokemon on this list though. I have 2 words for you: Jamie Boit. Jamie Boit is a player known for his outlandish teams and above all else his love for Serperior. Jamie has made multiple deep runs at major events using a Serperior on his team, and even won Malmo Regionals in 2018 by using a wide lens Swagger Serperior set. The wide lens allowing for Serperior to more consistently land its Swaggers and Leaf Storms. Jamie Boit is responsible for a significant number of the placements people have had with Serperior, and in a way he's single-handedly carrying this Pokemon's legacy, as most players opt for alternative grass types on their teams, even back in 2017 and 2018. And with more and more powerful grass types entering the scene, there's even less reason to run Serperior today. The real issue with the Pokemon is that while it can snowball its special attack stat very quickly, its base 75 special attack means that the first 2 Leaf Storms won't be dealing much damage at all to bulkier Pokemon, and its lack of coverage beyond Dragon Pulse makes it very hard to hit things like Steel types. There are far more viable Grass-type Pokemon with more immediate and consistent damage output, some of which we'll see later on this list. The point is, Serperior does have a niche, but it's not in high demand and it's been outclassed over the years. Though, it's not terrible, so we'll place it at the top of B tier. Chesnaught is the best starter in Generation 6, and it's not close. Not by competitive viability, but by sheer aura. Chesnaught has one of the most top-heavy stat distributions that any starter has ever had, and it still makes it work. 88 HP, 107 attack, 122 defense, and then just 74 special attack, 75 special defense, and 64 speed. Its stats look like they skipped leg day. Hey, I mean, Chesnaught kind of looks like he skipped leg day too, if the shoe fits, I guess. As a grass fighting type, it's got a pretty rough list of weaknesses, including that problematic 4x flying weakness. So for the first 3 generations Chesnaught was around, it didn't accomplish much. But then in Generation 9, it randomly decided to get off the couch and be viable for some reason. No, I'm not kidding, look at this Limitless page, there's a full decade between entries. The reason for Chesnaught's sudden rise in viability can be attributed to some of the changes in the Pokemon around it, rather than the changes that Chesnaught went through itself. That being said, Chesnaught did get a pretty notable buff with it gaining access to the move Body Press. Body Press is a fighting type attack which uses the user's defense stat to attack instead. But the first Chesnaughts to see success in 2024 didn't even run this move. As a matter of fact, they were belly drum sets with Grassy Glide and Drain Punch. But why were players running Chesnaught all of a sudden? Well, you see, at this point in the meta, Landorus Incarnate became a super threatening top tier that could one-shot many Pokemon with Life Orb, Sheer Force, Earth Power, and any grass types that may switch in on Earth Power to resist it would then be KO'd by Sheer Force, Life Orb, Sludge Bomb. Urshifu Rapid Strike was also super common as a way to deal with opposing Landorus Incarnate, since it could KO Landorus even through Protect and Substitute with Surging Strikes. Chesnaught was uniquely equipped to deal with both of these Pokemon and succeed in this environment, as its grass typing and high defenses let it take on Urshifu Rapid Strike while also resisting Landorus's Earth Power. Meanwhile, its ability Bulletproof gave it a unique immunity to projectile moves like Sludge Bomb, so it was just a hard wall to Landorus Incarnate as well. This made it a pretty reliable Pokemon to belly drum up with and spam Grassy Glide next to Rillaboom in terrain, then recover all of its health back with a +6 Drain Punch. Even past this format, Chesnaught has seen niche success by running Electric Seed sets next to Miraidon and using that defense boost to sit on the field, click Wide Guard, and Body Press. It just goes to show that sometimes all a Pokemon needs to do to succeed is wait for the right moment, a very well-earned B tier. As a professional aura farmer, Decidueye does everything it needs to and not one thing more. It looks awesome, it's got a cool signature move, and it's even part ghost type. Is it good? Oh. Oh no, not by any means. But if I had a statue of this guy sitting in my living room, people would think I have great taste. And it's got just enough tools in its kit to trick the odd person here and there into trying it out. Oh, look, a Spore Immune, Fake Out Immune Tailwind setter? Maybe this is the sauce that my team needs. Look, it's even got 3 stats over 100. Then they play with it for 3 games before returning it to the PC box of shame like an overdue library book.
Oh, hi.
Bottom of D tier. There's literally nothing to discuss here, but a 51st place finish at Pittsburgh Regionals. It just doesn't have a lot of data. Oh my god. Another potential Mon. I don't know if Hisuian Decidueye got the memo, but usually regional variants are meant to be significant upgrades to the original forms. Hisuian Decidueye just gets a very modest stat redistribution that kind of confuses me. You see, it's no longer a ghost type and instead becomes a fighting type, meaning that its best attacks are all going to be physical. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've ever seen a special attacking Hisuian Decidueye set. It even has Scrappy as an ability to prevent Intimidate drops and let it hit ghost types with normal and fighting type moves. Despite this, Hisuian Decidueye still only has 112 in its attack stat, and its special attack stat is unnecessarily high at base 95. Worst of all, it gets even slower at only 60 speed. All they really needed to do to make this concept for a Pokemon work was move some of that special attack elsewhere. Its best sets involve it using its high crit rate moves like Triple Arrows and Leaf Blade with a scope lens to have a 50% chance to crit at all times. And the fact that it can one-shot Golden Go with close combat gave it a very small niche in Regulation HVGC. But most players opted for Flamigo as it was a little bit more min-maxed, had a higher attack stat, and would just deal with the Pokemon a little bit better. In the end, Hisuian Decidueye only had one format where it was a niche option at best, and its best finish was 14th at Joinville Regionals. It's not nearly as bad as base Decidueye, but it certainly isn't the epitome of grass-type starters. We'll put him at the top of C tier.
Rillaboom is able to hang on, and it is to deal with the Rillaboom. It's going to go for the crossing glide.
領域展開無料空所
Behold, Green Incineroar. Look, every type has that one Pokemon with Fake Out and a pivot move. Rillaboom is the grass types. Now, Rillaboom would already have incredible utility just based off of its stats and move pool. 100 HP, 125 attack, 90 defense, 70 special defense, and 85 speed are incredible. It has access to Fake Out, Knockoff, Woodhammer, U-Turn, Taunt, high horsepower. Really, it has everything it needed to be a staple. But what really put it over the top was its hidden ability in Grassy Surge. Setting Grassy Terrain to boost the power of grass moves and heal other Pokemon on the field is just an absurd tool to give a Pokemon with Fake Out and U-Turn. Do you know how easy it is to reset the terrain? I'm like 99% sure the #1 move clicked by Rillaboom into Miraidon is U-Turn to win the terrain war. And a 30% boost to Woodhammer is enough to break this Pokemon. But Game Freak went as far as to give this thing Grassy Glide, a formerly 70 base power physical grass move that got priority if Grassy Terrain was active. It made Rillaboom such a powerful Pokemon in Generation 8, and even though Grassy Glide got nerfed to just 55 base power in Generation 9, it's still a must-run move on Rillaboom. Dude, this guy unemployed Tapu Bulu. Like, there's no reason to run Tapu Bulu as long as Rillaboom exists. He unemployed a legendary Pokemon. In its very short VGC history, Rillaboom has quickly become a top 3 Pokemon in the game, sitting at the top alongside Incineroar and Urshifu. It pairs well with Groudon, Calyrex, Landorus Incarnate, Sneasler, and so many other Pokemon. It even ran a Bullet Seed set at one point to give Archaldon 5 stamina boosts in a single turn. Really, the only teams where you don't want it are ones where you'd prefer a Moongus for a very specific reason, or you have some other terrain like Miraidon or Indeedee. To list its regional wins, international wins, and the total number of top cuts it has would be a long endeavor. So I just ask you to take my word on this one. It's an S tier, even above Venusaur, it's the best Pokemon on this list. The newest of the grass starters has managed to leave a great first impression with competitive players, even if it doesn't exactly want to take a first impression itself. Meowscarada, upon the initial release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, was projected to be the best starter in Gen 9's trio, and it went on to be just that. Its grass dark typing may come with many awful weaknesses, but it passively ignoring Rage Powder, Spore, and Prankster moves is nothing to sneeze at. Its base 123 speed and 110 attack means it's not only got the speed to outpace most Pokemon in the game, but just enough power to dent them as well. especially when you consider its signature move Flower Trick. This is a 70 base power physical grass type move that will always result in a critical hit, meaning it's able to break past the defenses of Dondozo very easily, leaving it scared to remain a water type and usually forcing it to Terra. Always critting also allows for Meowscarada to ignore reflects and intimidates that may hit the field. And its other various moves it has access to allow it to fit a variety of playstyles. It's got fast taunt, knockoff, U-turn, and even trick room to break your opponent's ankles. Really, the only thing it's missing is fake out, as a lot of cat Pokemon just have that for some reason. And while it often runs the Focus Sash with Overgrow to boost the power of Flower Trick at low health, it even has the hidden ability Protean, which allows it to switch its type to whatever the type is of the first move it selects. This is great on Choice Banded sets, as the consistently high damage always having stab on it means it's going to be able to outspeed and one-shot a not insignificant number of relevant Pokemon with its coverage options like Play Rough and Triple Axle. Honestly, the only downside to Meowscarada is the fact that it's fairly predictable despite its access to many coverage moves. It's almost always just running a Focus Sash with 3 attacks, as game to game, that's going to be the set that gets you the most value. It's had many notable placements in early VGC 2023, and even the odd placement here and there in the later Power Crep formats. This is a very well-deserved A-tier Pokemon. With that, our tier list is as follows. In F tier, we have Meganium, who has done nothing in 25 years. In D tier, we have Decidueye, who has some tools but can't make great use of them, and Torterra, who got Shell Smash way too late for it to work. In C tier, we have Sceptile, who is entirely carried by its Mega's decent legacy, and Hisuian Decidueye, who managed to be okay in a single format. In B tier, we have Serperior, whose ability to snowball its special attack stat makes it a threatening Pokemon with a few wins under its belt, and Chesnaught, who managed to kick things into gear after 3 generations of doing nothing. In A tier, we have Meowscarada, whose short career has been enough to show it's got the tools to succeed, and in S tier, we have Venusaur, whose long legacy of viability and modern use cases keeps it relevant, and Rillaboom, who has become one of the faces of the game in just 2 generations. But what do you think about my rankings? What would you change? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It means the world to me. If you want to support me further, you can check out my Patreon page or become a YouTube channel member by clicking the join button below the video. This gets you sneak peeks at future videos, access to bonus content, and access to my supporter-only Discord server where you can team build and hang out with other community members. You also see your name at the end of all my videos like all these lovely people. Special thanks to my most boosted supporters, Avatar67 and Club, for their generous pledges. Another way to support me is to check out all the videos in the playlist on screen right now. I know you'll find something in there that you'll enjoy. I also have a second channel and a Twitch channel that you can check out in the description down below, or you can just tune into my daily live streams on this channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.